Now what other methods are available for the string? You can find out the length of a string by calling the length function. You have the index of function, which takes a char or a string as parameter and returns the position where the string or the character is found in another string. So it's like if you want to find a particular character in a string, you can use index of, or you want to find out where a small short string is found in a longer string, again you can use index of. It gives you the position. Now index of always starts with the 0th index. The first character is the 0th index of a string. If you want, you can optionally specify the index as well. That is, from which point you want the search to start with. Then we have char at. Char at takes int and returns a char. That is, you specify an offset or the index for a string, it returns the character at the given index. We do have the substring. You want to extract certain portions of a string, so it's starting position comma the end position. It returns a string object again. The end is always end minus 1. For example, if I have a string called hello world, on this string if I were to do a substring 3, 6, the index, remember, starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we start with the third position, end is end minus 1, so up till the fifth position, so you get a L, O and a space as a return value. This is the substring function. Similarly, you have various other functions in the string class, like if you want to compare two strings, we should never use the double equal sign. As we have seen, if you are creating a string using the first methodology that we looked at, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So it's not a good method of comparing strings. So if you want to compare strings, you need to use the method called compare to string, which returns an int value, or you use equals or equals ignore case of string, which returns a boolean. If you use compare to method to compare two strings, then it will return the ASCII difference between the two strings, either a 0, a positive value or a negative value. 0 means both the strings are equal. If you use equals or equals ignore case, it returns true or false, saying whether both strings are equal or not. Equals is case sensitive, equals ignore case is non-case sensitive. So these are some of the methods of the string class. So that now we looked at string and string buffer classes, let's look at the wrapper classes. Wrapper classes are those classes which exist for every primitive data type. In other words, if I have int as a primitive data type, there is a class called integer for it. For float, uppercase float f is a wrapper class. Similarly for char, we have character as a wrapper class. Why do we need these wrapper classes? Wrapper classes are used for two reasons. One, because I want to convert from one data type to another. Two, because when a method parameter is an object type, I have a primitive data type, variable with a value. I need to pass a parameter. That value has to be passed as a parameter to a method. But the method does not take primitive data type as a parameter. It takes an object as a parameter. Then I require this wrapper class to pass it as a parameter. So let's look at both the cases. For example, let's say you have input from the keyboard some information, let's say age. This has to be taken as a int value, but it's coming in as a string. Or whatever information that you're sending from a command line argument, let it be a boolean type of value, let it be a float type of value, or let it be an integer type of value, it's coming in as a string because the parameter to main is a string array. How do I convert from string in these cases to the appropriate data type? We use the wrapper class. For example, you want to convert from string to an int type, you use the wrapper class integer which provides you with a method called parseInt. To this you pass a string, this returns a int. The string value should be only int in order to get back an int, otherwise it throws an error at runtime. It cannot be alphanumeric. Similarly, you have other methods to convert to other data types. Like for example, in your float class you have parseFloat method to convert a string into a float. You can convert a string into a boolean using the methods in the boolean class. Another reason for wrapper classes we said is because we have a method, let's say void test. If this method parameter is object and I have int I is equal to 10 as a variable with value, which I require to pass into the test method by calling test, you cannot pass this primitive data type as a parameter here. So what you need to do is convert this to a wrapper class object. So integer n is equal to new integer of I. Pass the primitive data type variable and then pass the integer object as parameter to the test method. So these are the two reasons why we require wrapper classes. So we have covered some of the important classes in the Lang package, like the object class, the class, system class, string buffer, and wrapper classes.